Welcome to the Diabetes Podcast, where real stories meet real science, helping you take charge, not just take medicine. Today we're joined by Lynne Bowman, author of Brownies for Breakfast, a cookbook for diabetics and the people who love them. Lynne's diabetes story starts 50 years ago with undiagnosed gestational diabetes and a 10-pound newborn, and winds through decades of self-advocacy, behavior change, and a delicious, doable way of eating. You'll hear how she turns compliance into real-life habits, why greens 3 times a day can be a game changer, and how she makes health joyful with 15-minute, budget-friendly, family-approved meals. We'll dig into smart sugar swaps like allulose, inflammation in ultra-processed foods, practical soup and salad hacks, and the mindset that helped her recover from a broken femur at 80 and still work out in a goat barn. If you've ever wondered, what can I actually eat, or how to cook for yourself without cooking separately from your family, this conversation is for you. Let's go. Hello and welcome to the Diabetes Podcast. I'm Richie.
And I'm Amber.
And Amber, today we're in for a real treat. That treat is in air quotes because our guest today is Lynne Bowman, author of Brownies for Breakfast, a cookbook for diabetics and the people who love them. You had me at Brownies. Lynne, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so very much. I'm real happy to be with you today.
That is awesome. So, Lynne, I was hoping you would get us started with how your journey with health and I remembered some mentioning of diabetes during your pregnancy and then just what that experience was like. Maybe you could start there, and we're going to go a bunch of different places, but I find this, since we're the Diabetes Podcast, I'd like to start with your diabetes journey first, if we could.
Sure. We have so many places we could go, and maybe over time we will. And I think you and I were talking about the fact that I first was aware of diabetes being a thing in my life with my first pregnancy, when my 10-pound baby boy, 6 weeks late, and every female hearing this is going, what?
Yes, they are. I mean, I don't normally speak for all females, but I think that we could do that in this situation and say no.
We all just kind of feel our little gut squeezing at the mention of that, because I'm not a particularly large person and never was.
No, you're not.
And I kept saying, you need to, it's been late. And they'd say, no, you got the date wrong and this and that. Well, finally, they cut this little person out of my body, and he was just under 10 pounds. And I had gained 60 pounds with the pregnancy. And that was the point at which these genius MDs said, oh, you probably had gestational diabetes. Oh.
What is that?
Right. So that was the beginning of me understanding that the rest of my life was going to in some way be affected by this, in no small part because I now have this child who is now 50, by the way.
Unreal.
It is unreal to me for sure. But so I was asking questions. Well, what does that mean? Well, you have to keep your weight down. Oh, okay. And again, everyone in the audience is going, you just have to keep your weight down? That's supposed to, I need to know in order to, and of course, if you have a metabolic disorder, the first thing you know about it is keeping your weight down is almost impossible based on what instruction you're given or what's out there. But also, yes, 50 years ago. So many things have changed. For one thing, it's been fabulous to watch my daughters give birth, surrounded by women, female OBGYNs. And Richie, love you, hon, but if you haven't actually felt the feel or whatever, you're not quite as able to be as empathetic and, so on.
All of ours were done with midwives here in town, and I was as useless as you are implying.
Not useless. You're very useful, but not in the sense of, oh, I get it.
Right. Yeah.
That's just not how that
I
goes.
just, it's no different than everyday life around here. I just go where I'm told. It's pretty much what happened.
Oh my
Go
goodness.
do this, go whatever. Yeah. I
Sounds like a
understand my role. It's fine.
You're so
yeah,
funny.
great relationship. So
Yeah.
yes, 50 years later, there are a lot of things we understand that we didn't understand then, but it's also been astonishing to me how slow the progress has really been and how difficult it's been, because when you're diabetic, so much of diabetes is compliance. And
Mhm.
so much of what the medical community love you, all of you out there, but what you don't do well is compliance. You tell people what they ought to do, you give them a few pills, and they leave. And that's the end of it. It's improving, it's better. But all the discussions that I've had with MDs, with nurse practitioners, and so on, the problem is in the fact that the patient, you, needs to go on with your life and do stuff, do these
Mm-hmm.
things that are going to make you healthier. Yes, you can take metformin. Yes, you can take a statin. Yes, you can do some of these other things. But most of us, given an option, if you say, okay, would you like to take some shots every day? Would you like to
Nope.
be on insulin? Most of us are going, thanks, but is there something else I can
Mm-hmm.
do?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
the good news is, yes, there's a lot you can do. And
Yes.
my particular angle on the good news is you don't need to live differently from your friends and your family. It's kind of all in a way the same. But what was the question? I
No, I love the question was your diabetes journey, and you tapped into some big struggles right off the bat, and that's totally fine. That's what we're here for. Dive right in.
okay.
Yeah, and I think in some ways that leads to the next question I was thinking of asking you, which was about how it is that you came from your diagnosis, and it sounds like you felt like you didn't have a lot of guidance in that space, which is a very common theme across. Is like, and it's a very common. The healthcare providers are aware of this. I believe everyone that I've spoken with is they're aware of the fact that the due to the way that insurance is structured and the system, if you will, they have a limited amount of time to spend. And I don't know that anyone has actually answered the question of how much time is required to really influence change in a person, especially with a diagnosis as, gosh, what's the word? Like gobsmacking as diabetes. And so somewhere along all of this led you to this fabulous cookbook that I definitely want to dive into, because you've done so many things. Like you have such an engaging presence online, and I've seen articles that you've written and just beautiful things that you've done. And that doesn't stop with this beautiful cookbook that you did. And so many people ask, what can I eat? What can I eat? And for me as an educator and dietitian, I'm like, it's not about the what so much as the how, and taking what you're already doing and incorporating small changes until those add up to big changes. So can you talk about what that looked like for you, and then into the cookbook and what that is exactly?
And you mentioned my career, which is gone, but one of the through threads in my career was that it was always about, it was advertising and creative direction. And really what I was always doing was trying to get behavior change. That was my job. I
Mhm.
was trying
That's great.
to do stuff, to spend money, and one of the things that I think about when I first came to Silicon Valley in 1980, and went to work for an agency, it was such a different world. The Silicon Valley was just barely being born.
Wow.
And one of the jobs that I had was to influence men, to teach them that a keyboard was powerful and that putting their fingers on the keys was sexy and wonderful and very manly. And because women had always been
Mhm.
the with their fingers on
So
the key.
interesting.
So it's really not too different in a way than the job of healthcare to influence people, to teach people to get behavior change. You know, if you can't change someone's attitude and feeling and thought about their physical condition, you're not going to get anywhere. And they won't take their pills and they won't do the. So my journey, as it were, got to this book along the way. Um, it's going to sound kind of silly, but I wanted to make diabetes interesting and fun for people,
I think
right?
that's a
We're here
beautiful
for it.
goal.
Absolutely.
Well, and
You
the
have to
truth,
take something ugly and try to find, I hate to say the silver lining, but you have to look for the good in things.
absolutely. And I'll tell you, it's true. If we all did what a good diabetic patient should do, we would all look better, feel better, spend less money. I mean, it's a long list because
And not to interrupt you, I just have to say, like, that whole idea of a good diabetic patient is a whole triggering thing also, right? Because what does that look like exactly? What does it mean to be good or bad? And but I get how you mean it in this, which is just like, how do you eat in a way that nourishes your body, you know? Yeah.
and your soul
Mm.
and your family and your
Mm-hmm.
friends.
Right.
You know, because food isn't just food, it isn't just fuel, and it also isn't just you. We're basically no different than the wolves. We are created to share food, and that
Food is
share
very social. It's what
that
we celebrate around. Absolutely.
yes. And it's a chemical thing in a way. When you are in a room or at a table or just sitting next to someone eating with that person, your body receives the food in a different way physically as well as mentally than if you're in the back of a car shoveling something in your mouth out of a bag. And we have a couple of generations, maybe three, of kids who have grown up shoveling food with their hands out of a paper bag with a lot of plastic in it, which is a whole other thing. Let's not even get into that today. Um, but my book and what I talk about, teach about, is that food is joyful. It's healing. It it does all these wonderful things. It should taste good. It should be beautiful. It should look wonderful. But also, I had three kids, single mom for most of it. Guess what?
Yeah.
No time, no money, right?
Yeah.
And I don't particularly love to cook, but I love to eat and I like to feed people. I like to
I
have
think a lot of people can identify with the part of I like to eat or I love to eat. That is very universal for
yeah,
most.
right. And people assume about me, and I love getting the jokes that, oh, you must love to cook. No, I don't. You know, I would love it if somebody just came and fed me, you know, put it on the table for me and made it available. But also, I do get joy from feeding other people and having people with me at the table and having raised children in a healthy way and now grandchildren who love to cook. You know, there's nothing your little ones love more than being in the kitchen with you. Not only cooking, they love to raise the food with you. We have a little farm and you know, we're not, I mean, we're learning, okay? Which it's a lifelong thing. You never really beat it. But grandson, 4 years old, I mean, for him to follow Papa around, planting the beans and then watching the beans grow and then eating the beans, preparing the beans and eating them, this is magic for children. Absolute magic. And they carry that, I think, the rest of their lives the way I can. And my granddad's picture is behind me. I don't know if you see
I
it
do.
well.
I can see it.
But I followed him that way through, we had beautiful boysenberries. We had chickens in his backyard across the street from from my house. And so I ran over there every morning that I could to be with them and be in their garden and be with the critters. And we are fortunate now that we have a space where we can have our grandkids. They're not as close, all of them. And my oldest grandchild is now driving. She has her license as of a few days ago. And I'm a wreck about that. But
that is so great. And I love you talking about entering into the space of grandparent and being a grandparent and the beautiful opportunities that this opens up for you. And I will say, in talking to thousands of people who have diabetes, type 1 or type 2 or type 3C, even, all the different latent autoimmune, their biggest concern as they get older, or their biggest desire, I should say, is to be able to play with their grandchildren, to be around for them. I even remember my grandfather, who was like another father to me, and his biggest goal was to see me graduate from college. And I remember thinking, like, that's absurd. Of course you're going to be here to see me graduate from college. And unfortunately he didn't make it. And I had no idea at that age, I could lose my grandparent, and I think that grandparents are thinking of this. And how are you able to really know that I think what other grandparents, I should say, let me rephrase this, would love to hear from you is, what do you contribute this vitality to? The ability to move around with them and go places and be who you want to be with them, where you feel great. Can you speak to that?
I'd be happy to speak to that. And I also need to say that I attribute a lot of my current good health and strength to, first of all, just being fabulous. Let's face it.
I love it.
A lot of that going around.
I love it.
But because I was diagnosed early, and because I realized that it was up to me, and because my mother had died very young, I was 18, she was in her 40s. My dad was 69 when he died. So I was determined that I was going to do whatever I had to do to be here with my kids and hopefully their kids. And it became obvious, the more I knew, the more I read, the more I, stayed with the program, that eating right and cooking right and moving, exercising, were the way to do that. But also what you realize when, and of course, looking back now on the whole thing, I'm in my workout clothes still because I work out 3 days a week. You're going to love this, in a goat barn in the neighborhood. How great is that? I mean,
that
come on.
sounds fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Where else would anyone ever want to work out than a goat barn? I mean, so you might have to tell us a little bit more about what that looks like, because I'm curious now.
I will. But the point is that the girls are younger than I am, most of them in the class, and they've got knees that need to be replaced, and they have aches and pains, they have all these things. Guess what? Granny here. And I attribute a lot of that to lack of inflammation, which, Amber, is largely sugar-based. Most of us at this age, or, from middle age on, even younger ones, are running around full of inflammation because of processed and ultra-processed food, largely.
Yes, and we have, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to listen, but we have a podcast that talks about inflammation and ultra processed foods. And it is absolutely the high fructose corn syrup overload that can, if that excess, when you're eating in excess, gets sent to your liver has to process all of that. And anything that doesn't get processed gets stored around your internal organs. And that is the key source of inflammation. Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to discourage anyone from starting wherever you are now, in your 60s, 70s, or 80s. Great. start now, or, ramp up your program now. That's great. But better yet, start in your 20s or 30s or 40s,
This is a
because
trend. This is a theme. Mm-hmm.
you're just going to be so much better off. And of course, at my age, I've had, my cataract surgery, and I can still see. Thank you very much, medical community, and other little adjustments here and there. But if you want muscles to work and bones to work, and you know this, you guys, we talked about it. I broke a femur 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And that used to be pretty much a death sentence.
Mm-hmm.
If you said, well, I'm 80 and I'm
And you
female,
break a hip or you break a femur,
they
that's
just,
like 4 years or less usually. Usually less than 2, the studies
yeah,
say.
yeah. So, and it was as miserable as it was in many ways. It was a wake up in other ways. And it was an interesting project because I heard from the medical community, the surgeon and the nurses who were surrounding me said, we don't usually see women your age in your kind of condition. And as much as to think I'm all, I look normal and I'm not all pumped and so on. But when you cut a person open, right, to put titanium in their leg, as they did, you get to see what kind of condition they're in.
You really do.
And
Mm-hmm.
the surgeon said to me, we've all got soft bones. The older we get, our bones do get soft. You can't keep your bones from being soft, but you can keep the muscle around the bone strong enough that when you have a situation, you're going to be a whole lot better off. So that had just never occurred to me, because you keep hearing, as women especially, keep hearing, well, bone density, and you eat this and do that and so on. You need muscle is what you need. And the only way to get muscle besides eating decent food is to move. And so everybody walking, mainly, that's really most do. But also, if you don't yet have a workout group in a goat barn like I do, I would encourage you to make one, do one.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently
Could they
there's
maybe get a
franchise
workout
opportunities.
room
Yeah.
that is not in a goat barn? Would that be okay?
But then you would miss out on the barn cat, as he did the other day, putting a mouse on the mat with you, which
Oh,
was
lovely.
yeah.
I don't know that you're winning people over to this goat barn idea, Lynn.
Keeps it fresh. Oh, wait, that's the wrong word.
That's
It keeps
awesome.
it interesting. How's that?
Yeah.
Keeps it
That's
from
good.
But also I get dish on the whole little town, when I work out, because it only takes, 3, 4, 5 women together in a room to get the news circulating really good. So not only is my blood circulation improved, but I know stuff
You
because
know
I
the
work.
news. Ooh.
Yeah.
You got the hot goss, as our kids would
Yeah.
say.
And
No,
you
I
get,
think
and you
they
get
would-
enough, you get enough mice in there, your immune system's getting a workout too, all kind of good stuff.
Yeah. But what we're talking about more seriously here is it should all be fun. It should all be full of joy. Even if you're the grandma, as I am, and I'm going to have 20 people here Thanksgiving. And yeah, so that's some work. But I'm up, I'm moving, I'm doing fun things, and everybody's eating healthy when they're here. They just don't realize it because the food is beautiful. I always try and make it as pretty in presentation as I can. And people, of course, contribute. They bring stuff. My apple pie is sugar-free and excellent.
I saw a picture of it. I actually was looking through your stuff and I was like, that is beautiful. I concur.
Thank you. In Brownies for Breakfast, and by the way, it's not just sweets. What Brownies for Breakfast was my friends, what pushed me into it, my friends kept saying, how do you do this? Because I did it in 15 minutes after I got off work with the hungry kids and pets. And so I realized that my sort of superpower was putting a meal on the table in 15 minutes and
That is
having
a real superpower. That
it
really
be
is.
okay. Because money, 3 kids. I mean, I had to, and plus I'm just, I think genetically frugal too, which these days is getting harder and harder. But
I
okay,
too am afflicted with chronic frugality, so I
right.
understand.
So it had to be fast, it had to be cheap, it had to be healthy. And I liked it when it looked good
Mm-hmm.
because I sort of eat with my eyes. Um, so my friends started saying, you need to write this down. You need to do. So this is actually my third book, but it's the first one that I got to do all about eating my way and serving my way. And what it's about is making it doable, making it so that I can change your behavior, whether you have diabetes or thinking about becoming a diabetic, or whether you have heart disease or anything.
Lynn, I'm thinking about becoming a diabetic. How would I?
But this is what you do. And the subtitle, as I think you read, it's Brownies for Breakfast, a cookbook for diabetics and the people who love them.
Love them.
Because you don't want to be eating one way and having the people around your table eating another way.
Yeah,
Who does?
Yes.
you really hit on something there. We hear that so often where somebody is under the impression, or it's basically living apart from the other people in their home.
Yeah, that's one
It's
of the
not a recipe for
hardest
success.
things. Hmm.
No, it isn't. So I want you to take the best little secrets from French grandmas and from people who have raised families on practically nothing, and it's all delicious because the more you know about cooking with basic, inexpensive ingredients, the more wonderful it gets. It's just
I
you need
love.
to put some truffle salt on it. I mean, there's a recipe in here for popcorn of the gods,
Mm-hmm.
which my husband and I had this the other night for our dinner. It's popcorn. You make it with a better oil. You make it with uh, olive oil, and then you put truffle salt on it, and you put nutritional yeast flakes on it. There's your dinner. And of course, I did have just a little bit of bourbon with it, um, which if you do that once a week or a couple of times a month,
Yeah,
it's fine. Nothing
yeah.
wrong with it. It's
We
it's
we were literally on the last podcast just talking about Amber's popcorn addiction. So I think popcorn of the
We
gods is
were
probably
talking
going to be
about
a regular
popcorn
around our house.
addiction.
Corn is
Yes.
good food. And my parameters are whole food. And this is Michael Pollan, this is area whole food, real food,
Yes.
mostly plants. I have done vegan for months at a time. My numbers never look so good. I mean, it's definitely a good way to eat if you eat healthy vegan.
That
Mm-hmm.
is
No,
a very key thing that you just pointed out.
Mm-hmm.
100%. There is vegan, Oreos are vegan, and then there's vegan that is very plant forward. And I do appreciate that your recipe book is very plant forward, very beautifully done, like whole food based, all of these things. And you write in such a practical, like just very straightforward way that anybody can see that and follow that in 15 minutes. So what would you say the longest recipe in your book? How long does that take to
oh,
make?
some of them take hours, but you don't need to worry about it. If you have a crock pot or a slow cooker, I love to use
But
my
you're not like chopping vegetables for hours. That's yeah, like it's okay if something goes in the oven or the crock pot, but like in terms of like food prep, what would you say is the longest one?
That's a hard question to answer. I'm reviewing them really quickly.
That's
Um,
okay.
here's one answer. A lot of my ingredients, a lot of my recipes are two ingredients or three
Mm,
ingredients
wow.
that sometimes people have never thought about combining. And here's one of my favorites, so simple. Salad dressing, which is where a lot of people go wrong, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
with a bottled salad dressing or something that you've made from a recipe. Okay, one of my favorite salad dressings, which always get raves reviews, is two things. And it's a really good balsamic vinegar that I buy from a local purveyor.
Mm.
And it comes in a number of different flavors made with fresh fruit, but it has an apricot balsamic, this company, Sigona's,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a Gravenstein apple balsamic, wonderful tasting. So this dressing is a splash of that and then tahini, though
Mm.
mixed up,
Mm.
fatless, salt and pepper. You have never
Amazing.
better salad dressing. It's delicious.
I
And it's
would I would believe that. Mm-hmm.
protein, it's fresh, you've got it in the fridge. I could have done that while we were talking, right? I mean,
True.
it's
Mm-hmm.
so easy. And
I
that's
love
what
that.
we want. And then your guest sniffs it and goes, oh, how did you do this?
Mm.
This is wonderful. You
Slaved
go,
all day in the kitchen. Oh,
yeah,
yeah. I love that because I think it's such a common misconception that healthy food is expensive. Healthy food, it takes too long to cook. And I think what this message needs to be spread far and wide. And it really, like, if people would just understand that, they'd be so much better off. And I love that you also utilize some artificial sweeteners that are a little healthier. And you mentioned allulose. I'd love for you to,
yes,
yes.
yes. This is a mistake. I don't know what happens sometimes in the food industry. They get all their panties all twisted about things and tell us that this is, not good for us and that's good for us. Okay, deep cleansing breath. If you are going to eat joyfully and not miss out on stuff, you want to occasionally be able to sweeten something. Maybe not as often as your sugar-driven friends, but in the case, for example, of my pumpkin pie, which you're going to love out of the book, or my apple pie, you need a sweetener. Not much of it. But what I currently recommend after years of testing them,
Mm-hmm.
writing about them, there are a couple that are okay, but the top of my list, terrible name, wonderful product, allulose, allulose. And it has one ingredient, and that ingredient is allulose, which
Mhm.
they squish out of corn or some food product. I'm researching now, and I'm talking
Yeah, I
to
know I know allulose is also found in figs and raisin or
yes,
yeah,
it's called
raisins and a couple of other things.
a rare sugar, and you
It's in
squish,
small amounts. Yeah. Hmm.
and then out comes no calories, just sweet. And it's granulated. It's all the things that you want in a sweetener, including something that most sweeteners could never do, which is caramelize.
Hmm. You will not
If
get that from erythritol or any
uh,
of those. Yeah.
it doesn't upset your stomach, which you mentioned erythritol, a lot of people just
Mhm.
can't.
Maltol and erythritol, they actually would use maltol in nursing homes to help people have bowel movements. So maltol is definitely, a lot of them do. And I think that there is a potential for allulose as well as sugar in general to upset your stomach, but it has to be something like zero point 0.4
Huge,
grams per kilogram, which is like
yeah,
25 grams
yeah.
of that sugar, which would be a lot, you know.
And what I preach about sugar, and I will continue to preach about sugar, is you have to quit. If I said to you, well, I only use a little bit of heroin, what would you say
Mhm.
to me? Girl, you're addicted. Quit. And sugar has been proven in the lab over and over again to be more addictive than heroin.
It hits
And
on the same dopamine receptors. So, okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate with that one. So, let's say I've eaten sugar for 60 years. I'm not 60 years old, everyone. Let's say that I had eaten sugar my entire life. I love sugary things, I'm addicted to it. And there's no way in my mind, I'm thinking, no way I'm going to be able to cut sugar out. Like, that's crazy talk. Where did you begin? Because surely you used to eat sugar. So how did you, you're showing your book. Where did this journey begin for you? Why was it so important for you to look at, your nutrition overall and try to begin to limit sugary stuff and then eventually try to eliminate it.
And know that I no longer count calories. I don't measure my blood sugar particularly. I go and get a hemoglobin A1C. I don't want anyone to spend their life measuring and counting and worrying about all this stuff. I want you joyful. But the education for me was when I first got my first uh, one-touch test kit and could test my blood sugar at home. It doesn't take long for you to see what sugar does to your system. I mean, it can't, it won't, it
So
doesn't tolerate.
when was this in your timeline of things when you had a finger stick blood sugar monitor and like when were you asked to do this and why, if I may?
Okay, that's a really good question, and I should try and find that because the date, I can tell you, of course, I already have that it was when my son was born 50 years ago that I was first told.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in my 40s that they said, well, in your 40s, you'll develop type 2 diabetes. So when I
Wow,
became,
they just told you that like right after your son was born. They gave it a year.
yes,
Interesting. An age.
so when I reached that point in my life, again, mother of many cats, dogs, crazy, whatever, I was paying attention and
Mm-hmm.
asking whenever I was in, had a medical exam of any type. Okay, so do you want to test me? No, no, you're not overweight. You're good. You're fine. Okay. Well, I finally was tested, and I can't give you a date on it, but it would have been probably my late 40s, mid 40s. They said, "Oh yeah, yeah, you're over
Mm-hmm.
there in diabetic territory." And so my question, as is the same as so many of you hearing this, is, okay, what do I do? What do I eat? Well, none of them could really tell me. You know, they said, keep your carbs down. Uh,
Very vague. Very
what does
general.
it mean? How? Um, well, and I'll shift quickly to all these years forward. What that means to me in my life today is I don't eat potatoes. I don't eat anything processed if I can possibly help it. I don't eat rice. I don't eat, especially white rice. Um, go down the list of highly glycemic foods. I just don't
So it's
eat
more
them
refined grains that you're trying to avoid mostly.
because the difference is you swap them out for something better. So every time you eat, and in my book, I got a couple of pages. It's a spread of here's what you do every day. Here's 12 things that you do. And one of the things that I want everyone doing, which nobody does, it's very hard to do, but once you get the hang of it, you go, oh, yeah, eat greens, leafy greens 3 times a day. How am I going to do that? Well, I've got ways for you to do that. And you think,
Mm-hmm.
one little way is you have some parsley on your sink in a little vase, or you grow a little pot of parsley and you snip that parsley on everything because it smells wonderful. It's delicious. And if you didn't know this, parsley, humble little parsley. Remember when your mom used to buy steaks and they were wrapped in plastic and they put parsley in them so they'd look nice? Do you remember that?
Mm-mm.
Then you would open them up and throw the plastic away and throw the parsley away and eat the steak. Had you thrown the steak away and eaten the parsley,
After cooking it.
I'm thinking, but parsley, we just thought of it as this kind of grassy, kind of funky. It's brilliant food. It's wonderful. That's just one, and it's cheap. That's
Mm-hmm.
just one little thing you can do. But if you get it in your mind that every time you're going to prepare a meal, think about a meal, shop for a meal, what can I do to put a leafy green in here? And you'd be surprised at how creative you can get snipping stuff up or with frozen spinach or with Trader Joe's power greens or
Yes.
all out there
Mm-hmm.
to do easily. For my lunch today, I had Trader Joe's fresh power greens, snipped them real fast, put them in vegetable
Mm-hmm.
broth, put nutritional yeast flakes on top, and put Trader Joe's porcini mushroom and truffle raviolis in with them in the microwave. Now you're going to say, okay, Lynn, those raviolis had processed, they had some, yeah, they did, but I drown them in greens and my yeast flakes, and boy, were they good. And I didn't eat much of them. I didn't need to.
Yeah.
But if you
And you're
drink,
getting a lot of antioxidants to go with anything that would be inflammatory with that. And I think that's a big piece of this. And we always say to our clients, like, what can I add? And that's very much in line with what you're speaking about right now is what greens can I add? And we always look at what non-starchy vegetables can you add? How can you up the nutritional content of this? Love it.
instead of thinking of it as deprivation, what are you taking away from me? Think of it as all these things that maybe you've never tasted or never tried to mix in. You're going to have some new stuff on your plates. You're going to like it. It's delicious. It's
Love
really
it.
good. And you're asking for easy. Another thing that I highly recommend, Americans don't eat soup. We're just not soup people for some reason. I don't know why. But there's a recipe in the book called Genius Soup. Guess why?
Because you're a genius when you eat it. It helps your brain. Has
Yeah.
nutrients that nourish your brain.
But even better, it also cleans your fridge out because what you do
I love
is,
that kind of soup.
yeah, you take celery and onions and carrots, chop them up or get them already chopped up. You throw them in the bottom of a pan. You saute them with some olive oil is what I usually use. And then you put stock in, whether you've made your own chicken broth or vegetable stock, you've bought it, whatever your favorite broth is, you fill it up or just put more water in. And again, this is not a thing you want to watch on TV, right? This is something you do in your robe in the morning, while you're, uh, and then you put in tomatoes if you've got them, canned tomatoes if you've got them, kind of sorry looking tomatoes if you've got them. And then you pull your crisper open and you just empty it out. So it's whatever greens need to be eaten. It's whatever else is in there that you think, okay, that'd be okay in a soup. Put it in the pot and you cook it all day. So this should go in a crock pot if you're going to leave and go to the office, or if you've got it on top of the stove, turn it down to like just barely cooking, and the house will smell wonderful all day. And then you put your spices in there. I make suggestions for what you might spice it up with, whether it's leaves of something or just pepper and salt and of course turmeric. And these days everyone's talking about turmeric. Well, yeah, put some in, add some, and there you go. But not only do you have this wonderful pot of soup for tonight, you can freeze some. You can eat some tomorrow night with some pasta in it. And the night after that, you can put some beans in it. And the night after that, you've got some leftover chicken in it. And it goes on. It becomes the basis for all of these. You can make a casserole out of it. It's the homemade, super healthy, inexpensive basis for all these other meals. And you've cleaned out your fridge. You're not throwing stuff away, you're eating it.
I love that. There's so many things, to pick in here. So I want to get back a little bit if I can, because you had mentioned you don't do any testing because that steals your joy. And
I do once in a while if I'm curious, I'll go out. Yeah. But I don't have a glucometer on my arm, and
but the main reason for that is because you just don't really have a need to, because you've proven time and time again that your numbers are good and you've maintained the weight, the lifestyle, all of the things that got them to good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify that because we do talk about know your numbers. You got to know your cholesterol and your blood sugar and your blood pressure. So I just wanted to be like, if your blood sugar is high and you're not in control, you don't want to throw your glucometer away. That's all. I just wanted to throw that in.
The reason to do the glucometer and all that is to get to the place where you no longer need to stress about it.
Right.
And the whole idea of journaling and counting calories, that works for some people. Great. Not me.
I
I just,
mhm.
I'm not good about that.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that it's good to know where you are and to do it in the short term, maybe 3 days, maybe a week, just to get awareness. But then once you have that awareness, you create change, you do something differently. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. You're not meant to track every single thing that you put in your mouth and worry and stress over things. I
I
completely
want you having fun.
yeah, we're
And
in total alignment there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but so many interesting things have happened over the years, people changing. For example, metformin. Yes, I take metformin every night faithfully. And guess what? Turns out it's a longevity drug. It,
Exact. Yep. We talk about that on our podcast about metformin. Like there is some research with metformin and longevity.
yeah. So,
And
uh,
so many people are afraid of it. Like, sorry to interrupt you, but a lot of people are afraid of it.
yeah, and I never particularly was. I thought, okay, it makes sense. I mean, I argued with my endocrinologist about a lot of things. Poor thing, I'm
hmm
sure tired of me asking questions, but I did. Um,
I think that I know enough endocrinologists to say that she probably really appreciates it because a lot of people don't know enough to ask those questions and aren't curious enough to talk about more lifestyle things and what the medication's actually doing. And so I don't think she is offended at all, but I don't think so.
Well, and you see so much online now, and you can imagine I have all these feeds of all these health people, sweaty guys in t-shirts, talking about living forever, and older researchers and docs and so on. I try and look at as much as I can that I can stand, but I take a statin, and I argued and argued, and now I've sort of resolved that, okay, I get it. I now see how that works, and the proof is in the pudding.
hmm
Yeah.
Um,
hmm Yeah. So can we talk about the proof in the pudding for a
yeah.
minute? Because look at you. I mean, some of you might be listening and you might not see Lynn. It depends on what platform you're on and how you're getting this podcast. But Lynn looks stunning and you are 80.
80.
80.
I
Okay. Stop there.
80, let's say 80-ish. How's that?
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. I mean, and I would never, like you could give me 15 guesses before I would get to 80, maybe. Like incredible. Like you are definitely a poster child for how to do it and how to do it right. So
The
I
literal
appreciate
picture of health. It
what's
is.
that?
I said the literal picture of health is how I would describe it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. A picture of
which
health and longevity
unfortunately
and the way that you
is
interact with your
atypical.
grandchildren.
We associate old age with infirmity. We associate old age with poor health and all the other kind of stuff, and that's not a given, right? There's a lot of stuff that you can control to determine your outcomes.
Richie, that's why I'm out here hollering about this stuff, because it's become so evident to me. I just have been living my life. And of course, I had a super extra helping of vanity along the way, which helped me a great deal. Um, and not everyone is quite so obsessed as I have been. I mean, I was actually born in Hollywood, would you
Mm.
believe? So it's
Mhm.
a curse or something.
It's
Uh,
an aesthetic thing too. If you value aesthetic, like if you have a high aesthetic scale of things, I think that makes sense too. hmm
But I share with everyone out there having this view of being elderly as a thing where you barely can get out of the chair, and you can, not move easily, and your thinking isn't too good, and you look all of this. And I'm coming to understand that that may still be in my future, but I'm not feeling it now. And
Yeah,
it,
kick that can down the road.
yeah,
It's just
having been through this broken femur thing, that was such an education to realize that, well, it's been 5 months now. And I'm working out again, and I'm walking down the street, and I'm fine.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
People were just so shocked that you would recover at all from such a thing. And it was a stupid, I call it aerobic gardening. I was trying to
Oh,
pull
that's a funny term.
a vine off of my azalea. That's what
Hmm.
happened. But what you learn is that's always what it is,
Yeah, I'm
right?
Yeah.
like, I call that gardening because I'm always pulling this thick, almost inch in diameter prick-a-bush, this
But I
prickly
wish I'd been
thing.
able to say, well, it was a bar fight, or I was, climbing Mount Everest, or I mean, something. No, it was a stupid thing that I did in my garden.
That's
And
usually what it is. Mhm.
the more you talk to people, most folks who go through something like this go, yeah, that was me, on the ladder and, whatever.
But you
Uh,
bring up a good point in that everybody falls.
Mhm. It's like you're gonna fall.
On
It's
a
gonna
long enough
happen.
timeline, you're going to trip. You're going to do that. That's a normal
yeah,
human behavior.
yeah.
And if you have not done the, maybe not daily, but at least weekly, hopefully a couple of times a weekly behaviors to make sure that you're going to be able to bounce back from that, what is an inevitable fall, you're going to be in a bad way, and it's going to happen. And nothing you can do can prepare you for just normal accidents that occur just being a human being. So there's a lot to be said for you're investing in future recovery every time you get out there to the goat barn and do your workouts and that kind of stuff.
But the gift, going back to this, was diabetes.
Hmm.
Had I not been diagnosed, had I not wanted to deal with diabetes, I would not have been as resilient as I am now.
Mm.
And so I always think of it as a gift. Um, and I've had, other than that, I've had good health relative. I never got COVID. I shouldn't brag
Hmm.
about that now because it's, could still happen. But you're also eating for your immune system if
Hmm.
you're eating for diabetes and working out for diabetes.
Mhm.
Everything in your body is going to work better and last better and serve you better if you are eating real food,
Mhm.
mostly plants,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. And so my hope is that people will learn to do that joyfully and beautifully. And I have some pictures in the book, and I took those, by the way, with my iPhone. Um,
Whoa.
And I like to say that because we're accustomed to seeing cookbooks by Martha Stewart and Ina Garten and and they've got crews with lighting
Hmm.
and equipment and stuff following them around. No, no, it was me and my iPhone because I wanted you to know that your soup would look like my soup.
That's fantastic.
There's no kind of studio magic that's happened here to make it look wonderful. All I did was walk out in front and pick a nasturtium and put it in the middle of my mushroom soup with a little bit of yogurt, and suddenly it looks wonderful.
Mhm.
And yours can too. Um,
I love
so
that. And you published, how old were you when you published this or had it published?
I published it, and
You
it was,
self-published?
yes, it was it was 4 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I ask that is I just want there we do also talk to people who are in the older in age, I guess we would say, and they have goals and dreams of writing a book, of doing some project, and there's this story that they have that it's too old for me. I guess this is just my life now. Like this adoption of finality that is very curious to me.
Yeah. What you need is energy.
Mm,
And and
that's a great point.
I know I speak from my own experience because the one thing about my recent struggle with the vine and the azalea was that I can still feel a difference in my energy
Mm,
uh, because I think it's going to healing still. And I've been
Hmm.
told it's a year or more when it's a major bone, the bone that carries your body around and so on. So I, like you all out there, I'm very greedy about my energy. Without that energy, there isn't a whole lot that you can do, really. Um, but if
Let's talk about, if we can. I know you, if you wanted to go somewhere first, that's fine. But I think that's, you touched on something that is a huge part of what people are experiencing is high blood sugars, where if your sugars are high in the bloodstream, they're not getting inside the cell to create energy, which is what's needed for them to feel this energy. What would you like? How did you get out of that lower energy experience when in the years that you were dealing with this? And like, what would you say to someone with low energy now?
how did I get out of it? I think I maybe never really got into it because
Mm. Ooh.
I was taking care of myself all along. Um, and I had this passion to stay alive and to stay healthy for my children, which highly motivating, by the way. You know, the mama bear idea doesn't come out of nowhere.
Mm.
Um,
So
and
you're not giving up on this mama bear just because you've surpassed a certain age and your children are grown.
Well, she's got grandkids now. She's in
I
the
never would. I mean,
next
I'm
phase of
just,
Mama Bear.
some people kind of do, and I get curious about that, but I think it's energy. I think that plays a big role.
and our lives change and people drop out and people drop in, new people. That's a thing that I don't hear a lot of people talking about. I read a little bit about it, but one of the things I love about my life now is that I do still make new friends, and some of them are 20 years old, 22, 25. And I love having
Yes.
those people, neighbors, in my life. Um, and I recently wrote a piece about flirting. I don't know if you look back at some of the
I
stuff,
haven't seen that one. I'll have to catch it. That's
because there's a word that people go, what do you mean flirting? I mean, I flirt with babies in strollers. I flirt with puppies on leashes. I flirt with old guys on benches. I mean, everybody in the world loves connecting in some way.
hmm
Some people have to do it, from a distance, and some people are very reticent about it. But I I deeply believe in that connection being super important. And we've already talked about it. It's so important when you eat to be connected to someone, and invite people, have people to your place. We've become kind of weird about that. It's like, well, but I don't have I don't have a big enough place, or I don't keep it. Nobody doesn't like having a place set for them. I mean, I learned that very early in my life. I had a wonderful girlfriend, an artist, Junie. She's gone now, but um, we were 18, 19 years old, and she said, come over and I'll have some food for you. And we got to her house, and she had set a place for each of us. And in my little 1960s teenage mind, I just went, oh my gosh, she set a place for us.
Mm,
And that's never left me, Amber. I mean, to me,
that's
that should be
profound.
about setting a place for people in your life to participate with you in your life for a meal or for an evening or for whatever you're doing. People need to know they're welcome in your life.
hmm
And there's nothing
Absolutely.
evocative of that to me than a pretty table. Even if it's two plates or three or five, there you go. And even if they're not all the same, but you've had some fun doing a thing with your table so that people go, she cares. She wanted
Mm.
me to enjoy my experience at her table. I value that.
Hmm.
I can see why. That makes perfect sense. It's beautiful, actually.
Well, I believe it's health too. I think
hmm
don't get every calorie of our food ingested in a soulful way, we're missing something. You
Yeah.
know, aren't we grateful to have food? and to have it
Yes.
good food. And can we be even more mama bear or dad about guarding the health of our soil and our water and our air? Because if we don't, we won't have healthy food,
Yeah.
won't have anything. But
Hmm.
the
And
is a,
sorry.
in a
Yeah.
way, it's a way of whatever, you know, kind of ritual you put around it. It's a way of praying. It's a way of reaching out to the universe and connecting. You are eating something that grew out of the dirt, right?
Absolutely. And I
How
think this ties back to the granddad and your granddad in the picture behind you and picking the beans and harvesting and eating them and just that full circle of knowing where your food comes from. Because I think if you really understand that, then you take better care of the place that it comes from, of the soil that it comes from, the water that nourishes it. 100%. That's great. I
and
keep saying,
how about thank you, body, right? Thank you. Um,
yeah,
we're still walking and talking and being able to make food for friends. I mean, I never, ever face a day without the gratitude that comes with, look, I can breathe. Wow. I mean, seriously,
yeah.
how great is that? Uh, I can
I
eat.
like to breathe. I don't know about, I think it's pretty essential.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's wonderful. So beautiful. So what is next for you? And I know it's been 4 years. You can't rest on your laurels now, Lynn.
And
What?
this
Come
thing's been out there for 4 years, and I have not had brownies for breakfast. I am a little bit upset.
I'm sorry. We'll
on.
have
It's
to work
time.
on that.
It's time. Richie, you can do this. This book was written for you.
Mm.
I've already purchased it. We're in good shape. I'm gonna
Okay.
have brownies for breakfast this week. I can tell you that much.
All righty. Okay. Yeah, good.
I love it. So where can listeners find your book, follow your work? Like if this intrigued people, because I'm I'm loving it. I'm eating it up.
You
Just
had me at
loving everything you
brownies.
just said. Um, where can people follow your work, stay connected to you, find your book,
Well, you can
Brownies for Breakfast?
search me and I'll pop up in all different kinds of ways. I've got YouTubes out there of my own, a YouTube channel. If you want the book, it comes in Audible, it comes in paperback, it comes in an ebook format. Of course, you can find it on Amazon, but if you go to your adorable local bookseller and you
Mm.
say,
Shop local. Love it.
Kristen, you know, we're not, what? It's blowing up. You've got to get this book. They'll
They
order
were
it.
they were even featured on the diabetes podcast. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So they'll get it for you most likely from their wholesaler. And I have a Substack that I hope you will try and find too.
Your
If you are,
Substack is lovely,
Mhm.
thank
by
you.
the way.
Just Lynne Bowman Substack. And that's a way that I reach out to readers and listeners every week. New recipes, thoughts about food and life and so on, secrets um, that I like to share.
The secrets from the goat gym, the goat barn.
From the Go type.
No, what happens in the goat barn
Secrets from
stays
the
in the
goat
goat barn.
barn.
That's
That's
what
the
I've
next.
heard.
That's the next one.
Title, but yeah, and what's next, I never know. Whatever, you know, comes up is next. Right now
I
we're
like
thinking
that.
holidays, and my heart goes out to all of you folks who are thinking, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to cook and clean and all these things. And um
Real quick and timely plug. Are there any recipes in the book that are suitable for Thanksgiving and Christmas?
oh, please, Richie, I have the best pumpkin
She
pie
said pumpkin pie. Yeah.
you've
I'm
ever.
just letting her build on it a little bit, babe. Come on. This is going to launch pre-Thanksgiving. We want to give folks every opportunity to.
Made with pumpkin, but it's also made with the sugar substitute we're talking about, allulose, and eggs or egg substitute, and soy, what do you call it?
Tofu?
Silken tofu to get the texture of it right. And okay, yes, I cheat on the crust if I'm in trouble. Right. I give you a nut crust, which is very healthy,
Mm.
wonderful, crushed nuts. But for my apple pie, if you're in a hurry, you can go to Trader Joe's and get their frozen crust, which doesn't have any bad stuff in it particularly, has a little squidge of sugar in it. But it was funny to me. It's the least expensive prepared crust. It's also the one that the New York Times and House of Beautiful and other sources have just said is the best tasting with all of their taste testers. So you can,
that's good to know. Mm-hmm.
and on my Substack, I show you how to cheat when you wreck the top crust, as you will when you roll it out and it breaks apart. I feel you. But what you do is you just cut it into leaves and carve and make those leaves look like leaves, and you put them on top, and voila, people will go, "Oh my gosh, your pie, so amazing." You don't need to
You
tell them
made that for me. You care about me. That's
right.
beautiful.
You don't need to tell them that you screwed up the top crust. It's
Okay,
okay.
I'll try.
But and Richie, there's more. There's all kinds of stuff in there made from pumpkin and sweet potatoes and chocolate and all good holiday things. No worries.
All
You're
right. Well, Thanksgiving and Christmas are saved.
Yay. Well, Lynne, I think we could probably cover more, but I thank you so much for coming on. It was such a pleasure to have you, and we would love to have you back, Lynne. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you joining us on the Diabetes Podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Lynne for coming on the podcast. She's living proof that eating real food can be simple, social, and seriously delicious. You can find Brownies for Breakfast in paperback, ebook, and audio wherever books are sold. Ask your local bookstore to order it. Or you can visit her Substack by searching Lynne Bowman Substack, and you can find those links to both the book and the Substack in the show notes below. If you enjoyed this episode, please take the time to give it a like and leave a review. This really helps to promote and sustain this free podcast and get the word out to the millions of people worldwide who are struggling with type 2 and prediabetes, letting them know that remission is possible if you take action today. And if you have additional questions or need additional support, reach out to us at support@empowerdiabetes.com. Until next time, take courage. You can do this, and we can help.